What is good? This is ahead of the spread presented by Wager Talk. We're going to check out some open numbers, notable line movements, and discuss key matchups and angles for the next day. So you have an early edge on tomorrow's games. I'm Ronald Cabang, and we got Skee Profit here with me today. We're going to go over a few games for Monday, March 3rd. We're going to try something new today. It sounds like one thing that we were seeing in comments is um, sometimes less is more. So what we're gonna do is try to key in on three specific games, key in on those, and then come up with a top play out of those three games, or maybe the top play. I don't know, Ski. It might not be one of those three games that we talk about, but we're gonna try this out. This is similar. Like if you guys watched Triple Double from Sports Memo or Wager Talk in previous years, it's gonna be similar to that format. So we'll try that out and see how it goes. Ski, any comments before we get started here? Oh, you're on mute, bro.
My bad. It's good to be back with you. I'm happy as March. February, like I said, was not being very kind to me, but off to a solid start for March, 2-0. So see if we can keep that going here.
Yeah, get back on the right track. Usually the bounce back is very strong. And for me, February was pretty solid. Ended up going number one in the NBA over the last 30 days, up 30 units or so in that period. So and hitting over 60% of my plays in the NBA. So a lot of things going pretty well there. And then Skis on the up and up. So if you guys are interested, there is that promo code right there. Save 33% on off 7-day NBA pass from either Ski or myself, coupon code NBA33. And you have the links there as well in that banner to get straight to our capper pages. All right, first game up, Ski. Let's get to it. We'll bring up the screen here. We have the first game we're going to go over is actually Hawks versus Grizzlies. We have the Grizzlies -6.5 at open. This has moved as high as 8.5 at BetMGM and Circa. There are eights across the board otherwise. And then the total 250.5, a super high total here. And this has steamed up to as high as 253.5. The lowest we see right now is 252. If we go to the injury report, we'll go to Memphis first. We got Desmond Bain is upgraded to available. Questionables are Vince Williams, Brandon Clark, and John Morant. And then on the Hawk side, nothing new here. Nance and Jalen Johnson out. All right, so we go to themoneyballer.com. Hawks situational note here: double digit in season revenge. They are the more rested team, 2 days or more of rest, and they have the rest advantage. But this is the first game of back to back games. They go from Memphis back home to tomorrow to Atlanta to face Milwaukee. And then on the Grizzlies side, a bounce back spot. They did lose outright to the Spurs as 6-point home favorites. They've been at home for quite a bit. They're going to be home again in their next game. But this is third game in 4 nights, so somewhat of a fatigue spot there. Ski, what are your initial thoughts on this one?
Total is sky high. Um, I can understand why it is and why it's going up. I mean, you look at both of these teams, two of their last three games, above 250. So you do have to kind of put it up there for both of these guys post All Star break. I think fourth and fifth in pace, and then third worst defensive rated team and fourth worst defensive rated team post All Star. So if we look at it like that, should be a lot of running and gunning, not a whole
Mhm.
lot of defense. That would mean 250 could not be enough, but it's tough for me to get there. Something that stands out to me post All Star break, um, Grizzlies haven't covered a game.
Oh, really?
Grizzlies also first half team total is 6-0 to the under. So Grizzlies really slow starters. Because of it,
Hmm.
not really able to cover games. I'll lean with Atlanta. I always say where there's Trey, there's a way. They've been pretty feisty, I want to
Yeah.
say lately. But no, actually, I look at their against the spread, 1-4 against the spread. I don't know. I view Atlanta as a team that you don't want to be laying too many points because they're gonna play to the end.
Hmm.
So I'll lean Atlanta. I'll lean over. That's kind of how I'm viewing it to start.
Yeah, for this Grizzlies team, I think you kind of talked about it, slow starters, and then they struggled to come back, and then they failed to cover. So what is this? 7 straight games they haven't covered. They pushed on this one, uh, giving up a ton of points. They're scoring a ton, and obviously this one went into OT. But a couple of things over at the moneybar.com that I did notice, right? So the Grizzlies, sorry, the Hawks here, when they're more rested team, 14-4 to the over. The Grizzlies, when they're less rested, they go to the over, 8-5-1. Their team totals, it seems like they play a quicker pace and they don't lose offensive efficiency. So you look at the Hawks here with the more rest, right? 13-5 to the team total over, but Grizzlies here 11-3 to their team total over when they're less rested. Um, right here, Hawks, they're defensively, they're giving up points. Opponents are 13-5 when they're more rested. So it just seems like they have the legs. They're going to push the pace. And if they're going to do that here, I also look towards the over. If you look at their previous game earlier this season, 112 to 128, right? They scored what, 240? But if you go and check who played, no John Morant and no Trey Young. So neither of them played in that game. And they were able to put up a good chunk of points regardless. Um, One thing that I was really trying to key in on here specifically is potentially that first half. So one thing that I looked at over at Killer Sports, if we look at just total greater than or equal to 250, um, there's this one game right here. Let me just put a parameter here to make it a single. There's one game here. It did include the Grizzlies. It was against the Pacers. That total was exactly 250. But look at how the game flow was. Majority of the points came in that first half versus the second half. And with this being a high total, and we expect it to be a high pace, maybe that first half over Skee would be a good way to look, just in case they kind of they get some tired legs towards the end of the game, and then they have a fourth quarter like this where they only score 47 points. So one way I still lean towards the over for the full game, but maybe a stronger lean to the over in that first half. Any thoughts on splitting it that way, or just a full game? It might be the better way to go.
I can understand it. I mean, obviously, don't like that the Grizzlies are slow starters as far as scoring in the first half,
Hmm.
post All Star break. But I do like the points that they're able to score so much without Trey Young and John Morant. So over nothing, whether it's first half or full game, even with the high total, only way to play the game.
Gotcha. Uh, One thing that I wanted to add, just because I saw this earlier, but the over here in this spot, the Hawks in the revenge angle, double digit in season revenge. That's what I called out earlier in the situational notes. 7-0 to the over in that spot here. And if you look at the average, they're up over 155.1, 155.1 on average. So I even though it's steamed up, I would still kind of look towards that over. All right, let's move on to game two, Ski. We got Rockets and Thunder. All right, Rockets and Thunder. Thunder open up at minus 11 and a half. It has come down to 10 and a half. The total opened up at 222. This is steamed up as high as 227 at circa. The lowest I see right now is 226. So expecting a lot of points here. If we look at the injury report, we'll go to Houston first. Van Vliet already ruled out. So that's big. Thompson, Eason, Shengun, all questionable. And then Dante. And then we go to OKC. Isaiah Joe questionable and Chet questionable. So a lot of questionables here. Van Vliet already ruled out. If we go to the Rockets game, on the moneybar.com. A lot of negative or like fatigue spot here on the Thunder side. Second game of back to back, third and four, fourth and six. On the Rockets side, they do have the rest advantage. They are in a bounce back spot. They did lose outright to the Kings, double digit in season revenge. But first game of back to back, they have the Pacers on deck tomorrow in Indiana, so they gotta travel. What are your thoughts here on this one?
Um, OKC, I saw these teams play in person earlier this season, And OKC, I mean, they were, I want to say they were the less healthy team,
Hmm.
and they still kind of dominated OKC. They've played what 3 times so far this season. One game Houston won. The 2 games OKC won were in blowouts. I think by 15 plus. Coming off of a couple blowout wins back to back, we know OKC is capable of winning by a big margin. And if you
Yeah,
look at a Houston team that could be minus a lot of guys, I mean, I don't see why OKC can't do it again. One thing, I don't think OKC's defense um, has been very great. That's the one thing I always say. You don't want to lay big points with teams you can't trust to get stops. Like this
hmm,
is a really good defensive team. They're just not in a good defensive rhythm. So maybe OKC team total over. I'm looking
gotcha.
at it so far. Post All Star is 5-0. Um, yeah, I don't see a reason. Like I don't think the Rockets defense is that good that OKC can't score. In the 2 wins versus the Rockets this season, they had what was it here? One of them they won 111 and 96. So that showed you they can win playing defense, but the other 126, 107. So either OKC team total or OKC to win by double digits.
Yeah, that actually, I didn't even look at that the same angle that you did, because obviously they're in a tough fatigue spot, right? But then they also, yeah, as home favorites, they've been covering at a high rate, 28-2 ATS. And then the Rockets, though, on the first leg of back-to-back games, 9-4-1 ATS. But without Van Vliet, I feel like they kind of struggled for a bit, and then they got their footing back. I think if you look at the last like 8 or 9 games without Van Vliet, I think they only covered like 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, and that includes the last two without him. So without him, I think they kind of struggle here. And you look at that team total over 19-11 to the team total over as home favorites. Defensively, Rockets have been pretty decent on the season. But if we go, one thing that I wanted to look at in the last 10 games here, um, I think it's the right here. Rockets offense, 28th in offensive rating. You look at the Thunder first in offensive rating. So it's like total opposites. Um, like I can see where you're going with that team total over. Uh, but at the same time, I just feel like the Rockets might struggle defensively without Van Vliet, and then their offense is already kind of struggling altogether. So, um, as much as I don't like going against, I don't like those fatigue spots on the Thunder side. A lot of the trends and a lot of the stats, especially recent form, kind of point in their direction. So I'll probably still look towards the Thunder side. But yeah, but this one's a tough one, especially with all the injuries and all that stuff, all the implications as far as questionable. So, uh, lean Thunder, but maybe might stay away on this one. Let's go last game for us. The third game on the board will be Sacramento and Dallas. Dallas minus 1.5 at open and still minus 1.5 across the board. The total 235.5. This has steamed way down to 231.5, the lowest. The highest I see is 233 at Pinnacle. Injuries, we'll go to Sacramento first. Sabonis is downgraded to out, so that could be a reason why the total has shifted, but the line did not move. So if we go to Dallas, PJ Washington is now out, and then all the other bigs that have been out are still out. Lively, Davis, Gafford, Caleb Martin is out as well. If we go to themoneyballer.com, this is a letdown spot on the King side. They did get the outright win over Houston as 4-point dogs. Mavs got the in-season revenge here. What are your thoughts on this one? I mean, I'm pretty sure the Kings will have the rebound advantage, but without Sabonis, it might be less of a rebound advantage than I was expecting. So, what are your thoughts here?
Kings kind of been playing better than I expected recently. Out the break, but they've covered I think 3 out of 4. Um, although 2 of their opponents have been, really less than's. Dallas, I feel like every game except for the last one have been really, really low scoring. But And also, I think that last game it was higher scoring because Milwaukee could take advantage of Dallas lacking rim protection.
Hmm.
So can Sacramento take advantage of that too? I mean, they do have a lot of guys who can score. I think Sacramento can take advantage, not as big in as big of a way of Milwaukee. So I guess that makes me not really like when I think about it like that, Sacramento should be able to score on Dallas and Sacramento as a team, like I just think they're a collection of offensive talent. So maybe for this game, I actually disagree with the total coming down.
Hmm.
Um and as far as a side, it's hard for me to pick.
Yeah, this one's a tough one, but I think for me from a side perspective, especially now knowing that there's no Sabonis, I would actually look towards the Mavs side. A few things that I looked at. So if we go, this is that revenge angle, right? So one thing that I wanted to look at real quick was Mavericks in that revenge angle, right? And a lot of people they're gonna be like, oh, a lot of those games had Luca or whatever it might be, right? But Luca, I mean, without Luca, they're 4-1 ATS in that revenge angle on the season. So they've been pretty profitable with or without him in that spot, that revenge angle spot. So that's one way to look at it. And then another thing to mention, um, the Kings on the was it third straight road game at the so they've been on the road quite a bit. So if we go to the Kings, we go a three straight road games, just 3-5 straight up, 3-5 ATS. Then they were like losing outright to teams like the Pelicans, right? Yeah, so these are things that I was kind of looking at as far as like angles towards the Mav side. But then when you look towards the last 10 games here, like I was saying earlier, the offensive rebounding and rebounding edge huge on the Kings side, but without Sabonis, I think that's going to come down a little bit. Their offensive efficiency is going to come down a bit because not only does Sabonis get those offensive rebounds and second chance opportunities, but he also kind of helps run that offense, right? He gets a ton of assists and all that stuff. So that was one thing that they're going to be missing a lot. I just feel like in this case here, Kings they have the advantage in the mid range, but volume wise, it's not enough to really make a huge impact. Um, so I think the other piece here is just the Mavs' ability to score in the perimeter. I know their efficiency isn't that great from like mid range and in the paint, but their 3-point efficiency is pretty solid, and you see the Kings dead last and above the break three defense. So that's an area that I think that they could take advantage of. So I think that the Mavs should be able to win and cover this one here. That would be my thought. Nothing on the total for me, but I do agree with what your thought process is for that total. All right, so that's the three games that we're going over today. I'll stop sharing the screen here. So like I said, we're trying something new here. It sounds like feedback from comments and people says sometimes less is more. So we're gonna key on three games at a time and then give out our top look for the day and see how that goes. If you guys have any comments or whatever, just leave it after the show, and then we'll try to continue to adjust it as we go. But yeah, shout out to everyone that's popped in to watch the show and all the great comments and feedback so far. Um, I think what else is there? Hit that like and subscribe button, obviously, and then check out the banner. You see this the wt.buzz/HP and RC for myself. To go to our capper pages, you got that coupon code there, NBA33 to take advantage of. Skee, before we give out our top looks, any last comments?
No, I appreciate the chat. Everybody staying up late. It's late on the East Coast, it's late on the West Coast too, but especially the East Coast. So appreciate y'all staying up late and tapping in for the show. Like my guy Wham Bam says, hit the like button for us. Definitely helps the show out. Lets the people at Wager Talk know that we should maybe keep this going. So yeah, appreciate you guys.
All right, let's get into our top look ski. It doesn't. I'm assuming it doesn't have to be any of the games that we talked about, but any top looks to leave for the viewers here today.
Well, I'm gonna do the games we talk about. I don't want to come on here and talk about games and then use a whole different game. That's just me. That's me. Everybody can do
I
what they
got you.
like. So for me, out of the games we talked about, um, I don't think Memphis has been playing good enough defense to lay that number.
Mm,
I would lean towards Atlanta. OKC, I don't really trust their defense lately. They are on a back to back. Um, I think the over. The market has moved it up. I think the over is the play in that game.
mm,
226 is the best number I see right now, or 225. Actually, no, 226. That 225 is still. And then that Sacramento and Dallas game, probably not going to be involved with.
gotcha. All right, for me, I'm probably gonna stay away from that Rockets and Thunder game. I do think that the over is still in play, even though it's come up a little bit in that Hawks and Grizzlies. Um, I think the best number you could get is 252, but it seems like 252 and a half is consensus. And then in that third game, that Kings and Dallas, I think Dallas is the right side. Minus 1.5 across the board is available. Again, guys, if you guys are, I know we went through only 3 games, but if you're interested in our premium plays, make sure you guys check out our capper pages and the deals that we have going on over there too. And I know Ski, you're doing college basketball as well, right? And that's going to
Yeah.
be important in the next month or so.
Yep.
So make sure you guys head over to wt.buzz/HP and RC for myself. All right. With that said, guys, our next show will be tomorrow, 10 p.m. Pacific, on the same channel. With that said, whether you fade or follow, it is on you to make that call. Good luck with our reaction. Until next time, peace.